Let's turn now for the bottom line to our chief Washington correspondent, host of This Week, George Stephanopoulos. George, as you know, the Republicans have been on the attack for this trip, saying that the president is president of the United States, not mayor of Chicago. And we just hear that countering this, perhaps the president has taken on board the head of American forces in Afghanistan. He's on the plane, Stan McChrystal.
That's exactly right. The president right now is talking to the commanding general on the ground in Afghanistan. General Stanley McChrystal, of course, has put forward that request for new troops. The president had a long meeting with his national security team on Wednesday, but this was a move to show that the fact that the president went to Copenhagen does not mean he is not focused on the most important business of the country. And the White House has gone to great pains to make that point in other ways as well. They point out that the president spoke yesterday with 7 members of the Senate Finance Committee, which finished the health care deliberations late last night, 2 in the morning. Of course, yesterday, any risks that the president had by taking this trip and getting the criticism that his priorities are out of whack are also cushioned by the fact that yesterday, in this meeting in Geneva on Iran, a big agenda item, there did seem to be some progress.
Well, let me take health care first. What happened with these calls the president was making? Any change in the bill coming out of the Senate? And what about the timing now?
It now looks like the Senate Finance Committee, which is the bill that most closely parallels what the president has called for, will pass this bill probably out of the committee next Tuesday or Wednesday. They finished all of the amendments and they lowered some of the penalties on middle-class Americans, which was a real point of contention for Democrats and the president. It's still going to be a close call, but likely to pass the Senate Finance Committee, head to the Senate floor over the next couple of weeks. And this is important for the president. It's this committee's bill that the president always pointed to as the vehicle that could bring this bill home.
And turning now to Iran, we heard the president announce yesterday the results of the meeting, the fact that the Iranians are now going to allow more inspectors in and let some of their low-grade enriched uranium be moved to Russia. Is this enough to stave off sanctions?
It is for a good period of time, Diane. I think it's likely to stave off any sanctions till at least the end of the year. The fact now that the Iranians will open up that secret nuclear site to inspectors was a major condition for the United States and the West. It was a bit of a surprise that the Iranians agreed to ship some of their nuclear fuel to Russia for enrichment, and that could really help put off sanctions for a while, because Russia will say, while we're doing this, we're not going to sign on to any sanctions. Of course, the questions are there other secret sites? Are the Iranians hiding other kinds of nuclear fuel somewhere in the country? But yesterday, there's no question that this was enough progress to put sanctions off probably until the end of the year.
Right, and few people doubt there are other secret sites. Okay, George, our thanks to you. And George, of course, will have more on this on Sunday on This Week.